beautiful differentiation we have done about empathy, sympathy, and apathy. Yes.
There was a time, when even too much empathy isn't good. There has to be a stop to
Yes.
where you have to be
Yes,
good
I
people.
that's what is an important factor. If I talk about specifically our product, it's really important that way because we are not only advertising for customers, but we have to tell the product as well and employees to it. So, the product vision is important. That's how we see that how we can't cater all the needs from customers at one time.
With HR product, it's more like, when since they're employee centric, we need to, we forget to make them employee friendly and employer friendly. So there has to be a subtle mix.
In our case, I would say that that's what is a winning case for us.
Yeah, for your clients.
Yes. We have a lot of focus on employees.
Right.
So everything, and that's what when we were talking about yesterday also. So the question was, what is our job? Right? What is our job in terms of that? So when it came to me, my answer was that I'm thinking of that employee who's sitting in that office and trying to utilize our own software for ensuring that his public manager knows what he is doing, how transparent their system is, that they should be able to see through whatever the progress is, how we can ensure that he's feeling safe about his data.
Right.
That is important. In Europe nowadays, the GDPR is another big deal. So there's a lot of strict laws about data protection. So, yes. So nowadays, this is helping, and we feel it's an opportunity for us as well because we already have a lot of players that need data.
Right.
So that's how we see that we could better this industry.
If I supply capital a couple of years back, and that's when they're based out of Europe.
Okay.
That's when if I had to comply with both US and European laws. So I've learned a lot about the difference between the primary acts, the non-authorized, you have to really comply with it. We have a product as well, so we have to really work on compliance as well.
I mean, I think every company must be having that partner. We focus on the lower laws, basically.
Yeah.
So we have that security, information security. How does the testing go? Are you doing manual testing?
We have some products and then testing
Are you using the dates in the instead, or do you have any framework for on the top of that?
No, they would build a framework which is customized for project.
Okay. They have own framework on the top. Because we felt the same that using the direct element would be like a lot of scripts you have to write out.
Sure.
So not all QAs would be handy to that.
Sure.
Framework.
There is this learning curve even in building the framework. Once you've done it.
Yeah, it's one time job and it's easier. Yes. So what does framework do? Is it a kind of what help does it provide?
Depends what technique you think. I use the keyword prison or I use that it's more like
hello. Hi, good. How are you? Hi,
Hi, Coach.
I think you're met.
No,
It seems like your face is quite. I just came from Gurgaon at this week.
Okay.
I'm still sleepy.
You can get your coffee.
So you came down from Gurgaon now?
Yeah.
long journey then.
Yeah, it's a long journey. 4 hours.
I have to do the same the next week.
Uh,
Let's see. My brother lives in Kolkata.
Oh.
Yeah. It's very difficult with kids.
Yeah, I know it's difficult. Yeah, karo bhai yaar.
I think it is all on here.
I think you have an office in IT Park also, no?
Yeah. Actually, you had that in mind.
Yes, I had that in mind. I was thinking like I have to go to IT Park. So that building is still there?
The
Or?
first.
That's still there.
Now we have 3 offices. We have one in Gurgaon also. We can have an event there.
Oh.
Probably next time we can have an event there.
We can have it.
You can host it over there. Invite us.
Definitely. How is Rajat?
I think he'll join.
So everyone is like, maybe we can have like small introduction also like in the
So,
meantime.
Thodi, like let me introduce, this group also, and also, you have been here. We have so many repeat attendants in the past 6 months. Let me give you a brief about further more history. This Agile Chandigarh, it's a scrum-alliance local chapter in Chandigarh. Deepanshu started it, and I'll introduce Deepanshu also. He started it 3 years ago, and we have had 2 major events in ISB as Agile Carnival. So there's a nationwide, this Agile Carnival event that happens. So we hosted the Agile Carnival in 2015 and also 2016.
2016, yeah, 2015.
And
2016.
we are happy to also announce that we'll probably be, announcing another one soon. So that was, the big events. We also had a few smaller events like meetups where we invited in people from outside, but that wasn't very regular. I'm so glad that this meetup group, it has had its 6th month streak now. So we have had 6 small events. No, please. So it's not very likely. I've had membership of other meetup groups also on meetup.com in Chandigarh. Very few have survived this kind of streak, and repeat attendance also, and people are finding it helpful. People are finding the content also helpful. Meeting, and also Prem has been there for several of them. Sulbi also helped us organize the last one. And Abhinav, you have been there from start. Paritosh, you have been there from start. We have a few new members. So we are also waiting for a few more people. Let me tell you about Deepanshu. He works at Mckinsey as product owner. He is also a TEDx speaker. Where was it? In
It was
Beck?
in 2016 in SD College.
Excellent.
SD College.
Plus, he's also been on the South Pole, Antarctica.
Yeah, I've been to South Pole, like Antarctica. This year itself, I just came back in March.
So you can all catch up on all those stories also. All right. So again, please feel free to introduce
Yes, I think
yourself.
we can have a like normal interaction because I don't want to keep it more formal.
Yes.
Maybe like Vibhor is very formal guy for me because he planned everything, and I'm a totally fun rally person and keep things very informal and very casual. So I mean, we can have a round of introductions. Because I think Vibhor mentioned I work with Mckinsey Company as a product owner. And I have my roots in Chandigarh because I did my education as well as graduation, and my family is in Chandigarh itself. So that's where I mean, that there's always a love for Chandigarh. People move out to different locations, but still they want to come back to Chandigarh because all our city is like that. So yeah, that's where when I moved out of Chandigarh after my graduation. I had a couple of startups in Chandigarh, so I did some startups in Chandigarh, all were successful. Then again, there was some passion for product because Chandigarh, that most of the startups are service based. you might heard about Upwork or Kudos and all this stuff. Like, mostly people work in Chandigarh in that area. So that's where I started my journey with a service-based startup, and then I thought of moving into a product-based organization where I can actually build some good products, and that's where I landed up in Mckinsey as a product owner and managing a couple of products for them. So that's the journey so far. And even, I shared my story in one of the conferences also. Like, I did my certification, I heard about Scrum in 2014 only. I mean, prior to that, even I was not aware of, CSM or what exactly Scrum is or what is Agile. So I think, like you, I was like quite new to Scrum and Agile practices, and I heard this term for the first time in 2014, to be honest. And I did my certification, I think, in June or July 2014. I remember the dates because I have seen, I have given a lot of talks of my personal life journey with Scrum. Having said that, when I learned about Scrum, I went to, Delhi and all the cities to get the certification done. You have to stay there, get certification, because there's no certification that time happening in Chandigarh. So then an idea struck to my mind, like, there's a lot of things happening in most of the IT cities, like Gurgaon, Hyderabad, and, Pune, Kolkata. So these are the upcoming IT cities in India, and a lot of things are happening there. So I thought, like, there are a lot of new philosophies, new frameworks, new tools which people come meet and discuss in these areas. And such kind of thing was not happening in Chandigarh at that time because people were busy only in the startups. So उसने तो OS पर अब ही चलता होगा, अभी भी शायद चलता होगा.
And it's still there.
It's still there, right? तो हमारी जो लाइफ है just confined to Adobe Photoshop में डिजाइन में सिर्फ Photoshop बना देंगे और Upwork पे bidding करके हम we get the projects. That kind of a trend was there when I was in 2014 when I left Chandigarh. So I thought, like, let's build a culture here where also we can talk about what is happening in the industry, and that's where I thought of having a similar kind of a meetup which you both mentioned in Chandigarh. It's a scrum-alliance user group. So I requested them because there was no presence of such group here, and I think in December I put a proposal to scrum-alliance to request them, let's do a meetup here. Let's have a group here which can formally organize and gather such kind of a community, which can build such kind of a community where people can interact, share their experiences, share their knowledge, because otherwise everybody is busy in their own life. So that's how Agile Chandigarh came into picture in 2014 December. And as soon as it was launched, so I thought, like, let's do the first launching event of Agile Chandigarh, and that's where we did it in May 2015. That was the first annual conference that we did at ISP. Convincing ISP was a very tough task to crack, but somehow we did it because ISP is one of the top post schools, and onboarding them was itself a big challenge. I think I have a story for that as well. How we convinced ISP to come on board and host this particular event. So that's how the journey started, and then we did a couple of workshops. We did one workshop in Infosys Chandigarh. So we called Bhagat Verma and he took some workshops there. We did one of the certification also in association with Agiveta, which is Madhur Kathuria's, he founded Agiveta, and they conducted a CSM certification here in Chandigarh. So that's how the journey started, and people started talking about Agile, Scrum, and all these tools with the help of this group. And I do get a lot of feedback because a lot of people, they wrote over scrum-alliance user group, or sometime I also got ad hoc emails. I recently got a mail from Jet Airways, that when you guys are hosting your next event, we are eagerly waiting for your next event, because I think that's kind of a we try to differentiate from rest of the groups in the way, because we wanted the content to be good. What is happening in most of that's my feeling, what is happening in most of the conferences is like people are coming and giving their talks. And generally, to be very honest, after say 7, 8 or 9 years of experience, we don't want gyan. हमें बोलते हैं ज्ञान मत दो यार, बताओ करना कैसे. Right? We wanted, hands-on or practical thing that you guys are doing. Actually, share that knowledge with us so that actually you can start implementing it right away. Rather than बोलें कि यार teamwork होना चाहिए, ठीक है, फलाना होना चाहिए, ऐसा होना चाहिए. But how it is helping you, right? So that's where we thought of having a workshop-based conference. I think last year before before was Neha was there, and we organized a workshop-based conference. I think that's the first time we took a risk also, where there's no talk, it's all workshop. Like you have a case study, you have to do some activity there, with the help of some charts, or you have to create some mock-ups, right? And how you will prioritize your stories. So there's a workshop-based conference that we did last time, and mostly most of the, I think 80% of talks were workshop only, and we called Mumbai developers also just as a filler, like so that people also motivate, because integrity के मामले में they are the best people in India. You know that, right? There is hardly any failures in delivering their departments. So that's where I think as a change, or a kind of a filler in a technical conference like this, we put something called integrity, something called passion. Where people are passionate about their work, and that's why there's very less probability of getting the failures, getting their part delivered, right? I think तो कहते हैं कि यार हमें तो अपना काम बहुत पसंद है. So so there I felt like it's very important for us also to feel good about what we are doing. Only then you can make a change in whatever you are doing.
Yes.
I think that's the kind of intent that's where we brought up in next year conference. And somehow I think we wanted to plan conference this year also, but because I was also traveling for my work, and I had I had to go to Antarctica for a month, so somehow it didn't happen. But I think that's where we have Surti now and before, and we are planning to have a similar conference next year, and probably that's the agenda for today's meeting as well. That we'll set and we'll plan what is the way going forward. So I think that's how I summarize from 2014 till date, how's the journey so far. So that's from my side.
Yeah, I can talk about myself. You know a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I can talk about myself. I have been in this organization which I'm working for 9 years. Yesterday I got a T-shirt as the Catalyst Ninja. So yes, it has been. Before that, I have been working with service-based organizations, and the same as you have focused on, always just looking at what to deliver all the time was not my way of doing it. So I thought to explore more and try to find out something which can help me with the overall development. So I thought to move on to this organization, Catalyst. It was a new organization. I was the first employee there. So they were a product-based company. And so from there, after a couple of years, I came to know about Agile, and they helped me with the certification as well. I went to go and get all the certification. After trying a lot of, after trying to implement it in organization, there were a lot of challenges to implement it. And as everyone talks about, doing Agile and doing Agile is a different thing, and we really faced that. And there were a lot of challenges related to that. So once we settled down there, I felt the need of Agile not only for software industry. I thought it should be much more bigger than that. So I went to the Agile conference, Bangalore, the Agile India conference, and there we met with people where I came to know about how they are dealing with agility and how they are handling all those challenges that they are facing. And then my spectrum of thinking began again wide enough, and I started talking to speakers about how this agility, how agility can be taken up to the next other domains like HR, finance, and all of that. So I came to know from Viman, who is the curator for Agility New York conference. That happened the first time in last year, February 2017. So that time I was sharing my idea that I feel that it's like that, and he told me about the community of agility, which is already having a similar thinking. So, and he told me about this conference that they are planning to organize. So I thought it's a good idea that I always wanted to learn. And I do the same thing all the time, if I can learn, I just jump into it and learn a lot of good things. So I did the same here as well. I started with them on planning for this visibility conference and contributed there somehow because I don't deliver that much what I can do. Like I did a sponsorship kit and all of initial things that was required. Some word spelling as well. So other than that, I didn't know much of the speakers and all of that, so I didn't do that part. But yes, it was a great learning. I could know a lot of speakers there. And the next time I went the last year to Agile India, then there was a lot of talk about, I could know more speakers and I had a lot of experience sharing. And since then I had this vision in my mind that we have this conference in Bangalore. People can't do Bangalore. And when we were there, people were like so amazed every time when we were there that, we could do Chandigarh for this conference. So I thought like, why don't we do something here in India? And then I met Deepti there, and she told me about you, that you already have this vision. And yeah, so that's how we met and we talked and I came to know about this meetup group and joined there. And that's my vision behind it, that to create a lot of opportunities for Chandigarh people. So that, and that's why this Chandigarh conference is important for me, that we could do something about Chandigarh. Yeah.
Sumit is our project manager.
Yeah, I recently joined Chapter in April as a senior project manager. Been working with various product development companies and service-based companies. Got a total experience of about 17.5 years. So, being into quality management, and before this, I was associated with FIS, which is a giant in financial services. So, when we acquired Sunlight last year, so that was one of the biggest acquisitions. That's when the real thing about Agile came into picture, where Sunlight is a provider. Right?
Long time. Yeah. You guys are live on YouTube world over. You're probably very famous. This was the guy.
Sunguard is one company who were really into Agile practices. And that's
Which company, sorry?
Sunguard.
Sunguard.
So FIS acquired Sunguard, and that's when they realized that I'll be a little blunt. Agile has been one of the most abused words as well in the industry, as a project management methodology. And that's when we learned a lot from Sunguard after the acquisition. They had experts, who had like 3 decades of experience into running Agile projects. So we really had online courses, conferences to understand from them that how do you really make the project agile without having the team burn out or really follow the practices to the core, and how to avoid process overworking. That's one of the key takeaways that I learned as manager. Too much of process can be a kill for your project, rather than if we do the necessary and we go rolling, like we said.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I can keep it short, sweet. I'm Deepanshu Goyal. I'm currently working with Next Solutions, Chandigarh. Next Solutions. So previously I come from a business family, a bit of a naive to this industry. I was always to join IT, but due to some family issues, my father expired while I was in my final year of degree. So I went into my family business. I handled it for 2 to 3 years, and then I decided this is not the game for me. I need to move to IT. So I joined a startup. Initially, it started from Mckinsey, extended up to Parley. So when I joined, again, I was the first employee of that startup. When I left in 2015, it was about 28 or 30 employees. So again, a services-based company working on Node.js, freelance and all. So I can move to Next Solutions. So we were doing Agile. Again, I heard the term in 2014. It was a buzzword then. So I came to know about it, explored it to some extent. But again, Chandigarh was still limited to waterfall methodologies, and we are not opening up because it was all dependent on how we built.
Right.
So we wanted to keep short and sweet to keep the budget intact. And so, but in Next Solutions, I got more exposure for Agile, and I have similar thoughts that Shruti has. So I recently visited Gurgaon for a conference. and they were amazed to see people coming from Chandigarh, and I was the only one there out of the 1,900 attendees they got. So it really strikes me that why not Chandigarh? So Chandigarh should have something like that. This is the reason I joined this meetup group, and it's going strong because we are.
Even I was amazed to see, like, I think we have like 343 members in the meetup group.
Yes,
It's more than I think any other meetup group, like Agile version and Agile version also. There are a lot of meetups groups. They have like 200 plus members. So yeah, it's amazing.
So and the good thing is that some of us are coming repetitively, and we have every time joining some new members. So it is always good that we are growing. The word is spreading, and Chandigarh is now becoming open to this things.
Yeah.
It is more abused, but Agile is more abused, but in Gurgaon, Intelligentsia or South. But here it is like just buzzword for them still, for some companies.
To be honest, like whatever I'm going to share today, because I'm not prepared, and what I'm going to share is what I'm doing right now. So, and there's no Agile word at all there. It's all, you know, what actually we are doing and how something is working for me.
Yeah.
Probably if you use it, probably it may work for you, it might not. So it's just, you know, sharing my experience and what kind of work that I'm doing in Mckinsey.
Actually, even the same experience too I have. You know, we talk about agile organization structure and all that. But I feel it's like, you know, you build it by yourself. You know,
it's abuse, but
forms by itself.
the problem with the industry is, like, you know, I see a lot of contracts are, you know, happening just by saying earlier, like,
Yeah.
so it's a sales term for sales people use this term to get projects, right? So that's why it is getting abused. I think it's a philosophy, what I understand, like, where, because in today's world, the kind of products we are making and the kind of projects that we are making, we do not have the requirements in hand. Every now and then you will see there are a lot of updates which is happening on Facebook. There are a lot of updates like happening, updates in terms of technological updates. Facebook is launching 10 new features every month, right? So there are a lot of good stats. Amazon is launching 10 new features every month. The point is, like, the kind of requirements that we have, we are not in a situation where we have defined requirements, that you have to work on it. You're getting ad hoc requirements. The business is changing. GST is introduced. Now business has to change.
Yes.
It's agile. Agile is like, I mean, all the financial processes which are happening in India now, they have to adopt to this new change. I mean, but it was never a part of the requirement gathering initially. But it is an ad hoc change that everybody has to do. That's where I think when we say agility, it is like, you know, agile. I would say that it is agility, where you have to respond to change. And in order to respond to change, you have some certain, you know, practices and processes which everybody should follow to effectively adapt to change. So I totally got your point. It is one of the most abused words in the industry.
More of a sales term right now that companies, especially in our region, propose Agile as a USP for their organization. We are Agile. So we are selling ourselves, we are better than the other organizations because we are Agile.
Also, they don't follow sometimes.
It's how it is. It's a buzzword. And
I think those companies try to be bookish. It's like whatever you have, you've done certification. So whatever is in the book that you have to follow 15 days sprint project, like whatever 20 days sprint, just they follow it blindly, and they want people to follow it. So irrespective of how the project is, whatever the requirements is, whether they are changing it or they are not, just follow the sprints and etc. So one very good example of this is like by the book, you do not add any new requirements while you are going into the sprint.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on the client. Who are you to decide?
Yeah.
Seriously, like you have to move on with the ship, where the ship is sailing. So I think it's still being flexible. Agility teaches being flexible, and it does not tell you that like this is agile and you have to follow this.
Yeah.
It is all about that. They have mentioned some best practices. You can follow them all. There are 10 best practices. You can follow 3. You can follow 5. It's not that you have to follow strict to the 10 practices.
And I think that's what, if you read Agile Manifesto clearly, it is stated there only.
Yeah.
Like, for a successful team, this is some of the things that we have done. Right. It works for us.
Right.
But for most of them, it might not.
Yes.
Right. So it is not like, you know, it's कुछ ऐसा नहीं है, it's a पत्थर की लकीर जो लिख दिया है, that will happen. Right. So it is just one of the best practices for some of the team. they found it useful, they shared with us. If it is working for us, good. If it is not, then you have to make certain changes in your practices based on your work, based on your, the kind of team that you have, so that it is as per your, working style and it is working for you.
I think so. We are discussing already. We are working in frameworks.
In that solution, in which technology you're a technical guy or into product management?
So we are a services, completely services.
No, I know net solution. I know Samir very well.
So we are like across the board for all the technologies. That's why it's not restricted to any technology stack per se, but we more into products for startups or products for enterprise. So we are more into that.
Your role in the organization?
My role is business analysis and consulting.
So I started my career into service-based company Wipro. So I was in Bangalore, so I worked on multiple projects there. Then I did my master's in operational research from UK, and then since then I've been working into product-based companies. So I was in Hyderabad working with JD on revenue management products, and then working again in a product-based company. So the thing is that because like if you have a bigger company, they certainly want to follow procedures and processes. But if you have a smaller company, they just go by what comes in the way, and rather than going strictly following processes. So here I work in a smaller company, though it's a product based, but we don't follow any agile or anything as such. So, but if like that's why I wanted to learn a lot about how do we follow agile and how can I incorporate that within my company. So it could be a mix of agile and waterfall, and it could be completely agile as well. So that was the main reason why I joined this meetup group. And so because there are different projects, it's like first of all the product based products are implementations are completely different from services. And how can we implement agile within our product based company? Because we have like requests. I just finish it off. Yeah. We have requests coming from the clients. We have our from the senior management. We have our own strategy or the product roadmaps. So if we have to follow agile, how we incorporate or try to like mix all of these stuff.
I think what I could give as an input is that to find an answer of why we want to do agile, why it's very important.
Yeah. I think this a quick time check, like we have to start. So maybe just
a quick introduction.
What exactly? So maybe company and maybe the kind of role in that organization.
Maybe Ankur Davis there.
So basically I'm from Chandigarh. I think we met in IBS.
Yeah.
So so after that I did my PSL. Okay. So still practicing and trying to find the loopholes, fixing them, trying to do the best I can.
Myself Rakesh Kumar, and I'm working with Zycom Technologies in Chandigarh as a business analyst. And my role is basically to support the sales team in the pre-sales as well as in the post-sales business analysis activity. Agile, I heard this term a lot. I can say in 2012, around about. But I never, get into this Agile. What exactly is it? But in mid 2015, I just feel that what I'm doing in business analysis, it's kind of monotonous for me at that point of time. So I just wanted to get something else. So I done some research on this, like what is Agile, and after that, what is Scrum. So I did my certification in last year August as a Scrum product owner, but it was all theoretical actually. I have never experienced Agile in my practical life, in my professional life. So the reason to join this meetup is to get some knowledge from all your experienced guys who actually experienced Agile in their organization and what problems they face, how they execute Agile in day-to-day work. So the reason is to join this. So
Thank you for coming.
I'm Varis. I work in Red Dot and I'm a developer. And I joined this group because everybody has a different story of how the projects go on and what problems they face, and getting experience from that so that we can implement in multiple projects. That's why I joined this group. Excellent.
So you're a developer, business analyst, you're into technical project management.
I'm like a paid global product manager as well as a business analyst.
Business analyst,
Product
product
manager.
manager, and your product. We have most managers, project managers, and product managers. And
So we have developers also. Boris is a developer, Prem is a developer, I am a developer.
So
I'm basically a developer. I would love to call myself.
I'm learning developer.
Prem. Prem.
So myself, Prem Tiwari, and I'm working with Chandigarh from last 3 years as a developer. And I have expertise in PHP and open source technology like Drupal, Magento, and expertise in WordPress. I have contributed many things in WordPress and also attended conferences around WordPress World Camp. And I am also going to join next week World Camp in Kanpur. So, and I heard Agile words last year in November to December. So before that I never heard about the Agile, how to, so I get interested how to implement agility in our project and how to deliver the project successfully with few feedback from clients. So that's why I joined the
Open source community might be more agile than everyone sitting in the room. You are actually,
Actually, before that, I have worked on only a small companies. There are no word for agile and no word for waterfall model. They only give the project concepts due, and we have to work on it. We don't need any. Like we are also now involving client call. Like there is a project coordinator, they are coordinating with client, and they get requirements and share with the developer. And getting updates from developer, they will update to the client. So here I got a very good exposure. I got also involved with client call and
All right, great. So now over to Deepanshu. Would you need some time?
Yeah, I know.
We can have some more introductions.
Yeah,
you can meet.
because I'm just
Okay, you can
talking
meet
to my sister.
Rajat.
Hi, my name is Rajat, and I'm working as VP and head at, heading the India facilities for Trandon. So I have played multiple roles across my journey, whether it is a UX guy, UI designer, VP developer, Box Code developer. I also worked as QA guy whenever it requires. I've had experience kind of full stack. I also managed hostings when I used to be a full-time developer. So that's all means. And journey is still continuing, learning every day, learning by sharing. That's all. So Raj and Astha are also there.
Raj and Astha are there. Kunal has joined us for the first time here.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Kunal Mitra. Actually, I don't know anything about Agile and Socialize. I have done my engineering in instrumentation and control from Harvard, and then I got placed in Reliance Industries. I did 2 years in there, and now I'm preparing for GMAT. So I talked with Mr. Vibhor. He told me to come here and have an outlook at like what is it, and what experience you can gain out here for my MBA application. That's why I came here to get experience from you guys.
And we have Astha, Raj. You guys want to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Hi guys, my name is Asta and I've been associated with Trandon for the past 5 years and I work as a Ruby-based developer. So my journey started from here as a trainee and then learned about the various methodologies and the work culture here, and now it has been like 5 years, so I work as Ruby on Rails.
So hi, this is Raj, and currently I'm associated with Tractor. It's been 5 years, and currently working as team lead here. So technical team lead. So I have exposure with multiple programming languages. So if I talk much about technical skills, then it's like Ruby on Rails, Python, On front end, we have AmberJS, AngularJS, Node.js, all these frameworks in JS, then HTML, CSS, responsive, and all these. So, and SQL, NoSQL, so so, and yeah, so if I talk about my exposure, so I also have acted as a technical manager here, so handling multiple projects. So yeah, that's it, I guess.
So are you in the developer team or the manager team?
Both. Both.
I was hoping that
Multiple roles.
as developers. This was reserved for all the developers. You guys
I'm both, so I can sit here. You can just move the chair there.
It's very agile.
सिचुएशन के हिसाब से चेंज हो जाता है.
Situation के हिसाब से. If there's developer community, then yeah, I'm a developer. Okay.
Oh.
Actually, guys, I've not, prepared any PPT, to be honest, because I just wanted to be more informal, in fact, and more of kind of a hands-on and what exactly I'm doing, right, as part of my role. And we will talk about a couple of tools today, because these are tools that I'm using for the prioritization, for better product management, or you say project management, same thing. I don't find any difference in it, to be honest. It's just a change in term, product and project. That's my opinion. But then we can talk about some tools. Yes, so this is some live data, and yeah. So I mean, let me start with, like, there are two things. I see, if I'm just trying to simplify things. So I'm using a term called product. Like, there are two kinds of products that I see. One is that the new product that you are building from scratch. For example, an entrepreneur who has some idea, who wanted to create a product, and maybe the intent is to later on, launch it in the market and, get number of users. For example, a Flipkart, like Sachin once created this product right from scratch. That's a new product which was launched in the market. And another category, there are two categories. One is this new product. The other one is the existing product. And in the existing product, you get the change requests and you're enhancing the existing product based on the industry need. I think broadly we all are working in either of these two categories. Either we are building new product for the client, or we are actually enhancing the existing product with the help of some features. Or anybody falls in third category, please let me know. Yeah. All right. So when we talk about the topic that I discussed today, I'm going to discuss today is how you can prioritize your stories and features, and what exactly tools or the practices that we are following is to make sure that we deliver. I think because the intent is to deliver impact, so that we can create an impact for the end customers, whether it is the existing client that we have, or whether we are building a new product, and it should create an impact in the life of the individuals. Like Flipkart, the e-commerce is changing the life of the people are shopping today. So idea is to create an impact, right? So with that philosophy, I'll talk about first, if we wanted to start a new product from scratch, then how do you go about it? Like, what is the first thing that you guys will do? Ideate. Where do you ideate it? I mean, ideate is you have ideas that I built. For example, let's talk about simple. Let's talk about a product. Like, I wanted to build a product where we can take an example of a product, simple product. Like, I wanted to purchase a health package. With the help of, I can compare the health packages that we have, multiple health packages that we have. I know there's Paisa Bazaar or Policy Bazaar, which is comparing it and buying it online. But I wanted to buy a product where I can see the data, like my sugar level was this in 2014, but now it is something else. So I can see a chart or a kind of analytics on the app or on the web app where I can see actually how my health is changing over a period of time as my age is growing. Right? That's a new product which we wanted to build, for example. I'm just taking an example. So what exactly? So we have the ideas, we have, the vision is there. We wanted to help people to understand their health better, so that they can take a it's kind of a preventive way of telling people that your health is deteriorating and you have to like work on your health, right? That's the vision, and that's a product that we want to build. So what first thing? Now everything, visioning, ideation, everything has happened. Now what will you do? Like when you talk about to build this product, now the product is there for the development team to work on, or for the product managers who are the owners of this product. What first thing as a project manager or a product manager you will do?
I think it should be the first understanding the core need of the customer and trying to look at what needs to be product.
So it's a new product, right? It's a new product. It's not launched in the market. It is nowhere in the market.
There's a target audience or target customer.
Yeah, so I think you start with the vision, then you decide a strategy.
Yeah.
So you have the vision that I need to have a product that will give me like what is the package that I choose if my sugar level goes like varies from this to this or my blood pressure.
I'll simplify it. I think visioning exercise
And that's done.
That's done. That's what I'm saying. So now we have to build this product.
Then you need to decide the strategy for that product. How you actually build it? What will be your target audience? And then like about your design. So there are different things, like first of all target audience. Even in the target audience, not the whole audience is the target audience. You have to decide like if you're talking about the sugar. So is it the people beyond 60 years, because if you're talking about diabetes, then is it only my diabetic people, my target audience? Is it people above 30 years of age, 40 years of age, 60 years of age?
Right.
My target audience.
So exactly. So we call it as users personas, basically, right? If you remember, if you heard this term. So as a product manager or as a team, probably when all the visioning exercise is done, you know that you have to build a product which actually showcase you. These are the users who are going to use my application. It's going to be. It is not going to be a child, of course. It is going to be an individual with an age from 20 to 30 for certain parameters, or maybe 30 to 40 or 40 to 50 or 50 to 60, whatever the age parameter is. These are the people who are going to use my application. So you need to understand first as a team or as a product manager who is owning it for the product which is you are building it from scratch, that what are the users who are going to use it. Because ultimately you are creating a product for them. You are creating an impact for them. This product will impact the lives of that users. So you need to understand the users' personas. So basically what I do actually. यहाँ पे स्विच करेंगे। So I'm going to introduce a new tool called, which I am using like for all the communication that I have with most of the users. It's called mockups, MOQUPS. Isn't it used here?
Yeah.
You have heard it or you have used it?
Used it.
You used it. How's that tool?
It's good.
It's good, right? So basically, I'm using this tool not only for communication. I'm using this tool for communication. If I have to communicate anything to my business users or to my end users, I try to create a design or a flow because sometimes it happens is it is difficult for me to communicate what exactly I want to communicate to the end user. So I either create some flowcharts or some diagrams and communicate to the end user so that he can understand it, because communication is a very important part of getting the requirements or understanding each other. So that's where I use this tool, not only for communication, but this tool is meant for a lot of things. You can create mockups, you can create click-through mockups, right? Which is a very interesting feature of this particular tool. For example, if you're creating a mobile app, you can create. You can also upload your high fidelity designs there. You can create a click-through map, so that the end user will actually experience. It is not a live application, but the experience is that the user will feel like it is an actual live application. He can click on a button and the action will be performed. So what I'm trying to explain is, I use this tool extensively for communication, for prototyping, and for this particular tool, there's no technical expertise which is required. Anybody can use this tool. And I can create mockups. So what point I'm coming through is, as the first step when we talk about that, we have to have the users' personas. So if you see that in my in this, you should hear me. So this is what I try to see, So there's one application, and I thought of what kind of users I can think of. It's an internal application, and we thought of what are different users I can think of, and what action actually they will do with the help of this particular new tool. So I just try to document it in a way, and I just try to understand that these are the different users. They can be system administrator, they can be a specific team administrator that we can have for this particular tool. We can have office admins, and we can have a global administrator who can manage this particular tool internally. So I'm talking about an internal tool, for example, but what I'm trying to make here is, we can use such kind of tools as a product manager to understand what are the different users that I'm catering to, what exactly people will do from this particular application, right? And that's where I just listed down what all activities that I'm expecting from each users to perform, right, for this particular tool. And that's where I just create this chart, and I just reach out to, for example, if I selected, for example, for our product, you have to find some users persona. There are people from 20, 30 age group who will going to use it. So what you will do first, you will reach out to them probably as a product manager. Maybe you can find out your friends and family, because these are the first person that who can give you genuine feedback. What exactly that you are building, is it something worthwhile, right? The problem in industry today is a lot of products are getting failed because people are building products in silos. They are not reaching out to the end user where there is a need or not, right? If I want to build a product, I first found a small sample space of say 20 to 30 users based on my users' personas. I create some kind of a low fidelity designs on my own, and then create a click through, so that for them to understand what my product is. And do you think this is because I'm bringing my vision on papers and not in the form of textual document, but it is going to be a very simple document which is showing this is the application, this is the reports that you will see on this particular application, and this is how you will see. Now tell me, do you think this is a value add to your life? This is changing the way that you're managing your health right now? If the answer is yes, it means that you're on the right track. If the answer is no, or he will give you a feedback that include these features also, which I think is required from my perspective. Because see, you do not have a user base. You do not, for a new product, you do not have a user base. You have to find out certain sample space, people that you have trust in, and these people will give me the right feedback for this particular tool. Because the tool that I'm making is actually impacting masses.
Any other way to find out whether there will be demand process?
So there are a lot of ways, like you can go for market research. That's a traditional way. There are companies who can do a market research for you, who have the sample space. They have the sample space, and you can tell them there are surveys that you can conduct. or professional companies, they can conduct the service for you and can give you the analytics, whether there's a demand for this particular product or not. So there are a lot of ways. I'm not saying that this is the only way, but I'm saying for a person who do not want to actually, I'm talking about from a person perspective who wanted to build it from a scratch and who do not want to invest so much of money, because as a person, if I'm building a product, I don't want to invest a lot of money hiring a company who can do a market research for me, whether this product is required or not.
And actually, experience a few people in my network who made the products. They did the personas, they did the prototyping, they did the MVP, launched the product, it still failed. Yeah. And the area where they lacked was the user research part, which actually comes before defining the persona.
Yes.
They went to friends and family. Yeah. Like if I am your friend or a family member, I have the hidden ability to convince you, because they say, oh, this is a technology guy, what he's talking makes sense, right? But there are few critical components, like, is that person to whom I reached out, is he the user of the application? Exactly. He's not the user of the application. Right? What do he need? What do they want if they are the users? Exactly. So if we don't do the user research around these three, your basics concept, no matter I do whatever, I have a very high probability of failing.
Exactly. That's. I think you took my point. I think when I talk about the second part with the existing, see, that's a challenge. I think that's a challenge. I thought to share it with you. When we are building a new product, we do not have any right way of getting the user research done. And that is the problem that most of the products are failing. Because you do not know who are the users, you do not know whether the sample space that I'm taking, is it sufficient enough to give me the right feedback for the right product?
Yeah, but there are a few things like, why are we even building the product? Yeah. If the question is like, if somebody says Amazon ने इतना पैसा कमा लिया, मैं भी Flipkart को बनाने की कोशिश करता हूँ, या रोज e-commerce बनते हैं, so what was the need behind that idea? And then how did they ideate it? Then what was the user research? What are the critical questions answered?
Exactly. So that's a visioning and ideation part of it. So that's where I thought that maybe ideation, you see, at times you build up products with a gut feeling. There are a lot of companies.
Speculation.
Yes.
I think the success of the product also depends on the marketing as well. Because generally, but when we develop a product, the funds, the actual that we have, a budget we have, like you say, the budget we have for developing a product, we actually burn out that product budget into the developing rather than spending on the activities. So generally, it happens actually.
It comes still later on.
See, I think that's a very critical point. I think Rajat mentioned the right thing in front, because I think I was having a similar discussion last time also for a product. When you're building a product from scratch, the success of that product resides in an effective user research. So there are that's what I'm saying. For a user research, what company will do? They will have, based on your product visioning that you wanted this target audience, they have a sample space. They will create. I'm saying product can still fail. There's no guarantee that product will be successful, right? But the probability might get reduced. You can just reduce the probability of a failure. But if you do not go for a user research, right, and build a product, the probability is very high to get a failure. But if you do a user research, and then people will give you some kind of a data, like whatever product that you are building, people have given feedback like these are the top 10 features that they wanted in your product, and if you build that product, it might get successful. So basically, you are reducing the probability.
So I think before the user research for the features or the user personas, the first user research needs to be done whether there is a need of that product.
Yes. So that's where
there is no need of that product. The product is bound to be failed.
And that's where
not necessarily. Did you have a need to like somebody online when Facebook did not exist? No, right? So there's a concept called vitamin versus painkillers. That you are making a product which addresses your pain, or you are making a product which is a vitamin, not essential. But over the time, it will become a painkiller.
Yeah. So
आज के दिन ना बोलो कि मुझे like करना कुछ करना, it's a pain. You want to do it.
Yeah, so it's like must have versus what do you call it? Like
so you can say Uber was a painkiller. There, you wanted a need. There was the need that I'm standing anywhere, I should get a cab. it was a need which was being
Yeah,
addressed.
over that time, it may convert it, a must-have solution may become a,
right, but every time
you say a nice-to-have solution may become a must-have.
Yeah.
But it's like that the person or whoever is building needs to stick to it. If sometimes it may happen that the company or whoever is building the product may find it difficult to carry on with building the product and will eventually has to close it down or put.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, okay, I think this is what the discussion I wanted, and I'll show you one chart where I did a user research also. I'll show you that data analytics also, right? So I talked about two products. Like one is when your product is building from a scratch. That is the critical phase when you are building a new product. For that, user research can increase or decrease the probability of a successful product. Agreed. But to get,
I would also like to add that when you're building a product from scratch, we are into an age where we have almost everything. When we call it Internet of Things, there's already a lot of things in the market. So when he said that you could not have, maybe you're a startup, you don't have so much money for market research. So you yourself can go out in the market and see how many health products of these kind are already available in the market. Right? So that can give me a competitive, and then you can see what do I need to add extra into my product which gives me a competitive edge over the other existing.
And that is where we
right.
In any startup guy has prepared a slide called competitive analysis.
Right. That's very important because you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Probably that'll even tell you what features you should have and probably what you don't like about the existing application where you can go and convince where you're talking about marketing. That'll come later where you can tell them, okay, this is the USP of our product.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. When you have done this, that's what I'm saying. The visioning exercise, you have created the competitive analysis. You know what kind of product that you wanted to build. You know, this is the top 10 features I am thinking from my competitive analysis, which I understand because I have not gone to any company for the market research. I do not know, I've not reached out to any users to understand, whether this product will work or not. So what I'm trying to say is a simple thing where I can create a low fidelity application on my own without having any dependency on anyone. Instead of explaining through a verbal communication, I can create a mock-up like this. For example, I can show you one mock-up. So this is the mock-up that I created, for example, right? If you see, it's a simple mock-up. I just created a flowchart that if you install this, this is how the message will be. If you click on this, the next screen will like this, and then you have to enable the location. And I just created this in just 1 or 2 hours. So basically what I'm trying to say is I put all my thoughts, all the verbal communication that we are doing, right? I'm just trying to create a mock-up or a low fidelity design, and I'll make sure I'll do a click through of this so that it is easy for me to explain you or to explain anyone what I am trying to build. It won't take much time. It is a matter if you are clear on your thoughts, what exactly that you are building, and you don't want to invest a lot of time, energy, and money. So first thing is put all your thoughts here in the form of designs or in the form of low fidelity mockups. It is not going to take a lot of time. Anybody can do it. You can do it. If you use this tool, you create this mockup in just 2 or 3 hours. A good workshop will be if I say that we have to build a mobile app where I wanted to see some kind of an analytics of my health related KPIs. Can you create a mockup for this? Yes. In 2 or 3 hours, you can create mockups on your own. And then you also can make a click through of this to explain your ideas, what actually I want. Today, what is happening is we are creating PPTs, we are creating documents, huge documents, vision documents that I want to build this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that these are not helpful, but I think coming up with these mockups, low fidelity mockups, with a click through, and you reach out to people explaining that this is what I am thinking to build. Do you see this will add a value into your life? Probably is more effective than asking a question with the help of surveys. Nobody fills surveys. Do you fill surveys? That's the problem. Market research, you don't control the data. Market research team, who is the market research team, they are getting the data. But do you know that response that you get is as effective? Because it's very difficult for any person to read your questions and options and can give feedback. But a person can give a direct feedback seeing the mock-ups, low feedback, because he can understand. That is what point I'm trying to make here is that instead of using surveys, I'm not saying that these are not the good practices, but I have built a product internally within the firm where we created this low fidelity mockups. We reached out to multiple users because that's an enclosed environment. I'm not saying that is applicable to a product which is applicable for masses. It's very difficult. And that's the area, that's the gap today which exists, and that's the reason why most of the products are failing. And that's the critical aspect I thought just to touch base with you, because for the existing product, it is very easy. If I tell you another example, for the existing product, I have this user research. And for example, I have created this dashboard in Tableau. I have an existing product who is my super top 100 users in different locations. I have all this data. And this data is coming for a product which is an ERP for which you do not have any tool like Google Analytics or Omniture which can give you the user stats. So basically the point I'm trying to explain is for the existing products, if you are making any enhancements to the existing product, you know your users, you know the user space, and you can get the user stats pretty easily from the system. If you're using a web application, you can put the Google Analytics, get the user stats. Or a tool called Omniture from Adobe, you can get the user stats. You can find out 100 users, you can reach out to them. Tell me, what are the best features that you like in our product? We'll enhance it. If you're making new enhancement, you know your user base clearly. And that's where you can easily prioritize it. Trust me, a lot of people are not doing this also in terms of prioritization. That's a basic. That's the first step. Understand your users, understand your user base. We are talking about building a new product to which we have no idea who are the users. In the existing product also, we are not doing this practice where we have the data. So this is a live data I'm showing you. This is basically a snapshot of an existing application which is used by user, and this is showing me some chart like, who are the employees of that company, from which location, how many number of logins per month that they are doing, which feature they are using most. So I'm getting all the usage, and this is for an ERP for which there is no tool. In ERP, you cannot put in your Google Analytics or Omniture. So in existing products, also there are two categories. One is ERP, and one is the custom solution that you make. For custom solution, it is easy to get user stats. Put Google Analytics, or you can have an Adobe product called Omniture. There are many, in fact, in the market, but these are the popular ones. You can get the user stats, understand your users. If you have a requirement, right, that's what I do. If I have a requirement, I reach out to these top 100 users first, and I'll create a mock-up item that this is a new feature that we are trying to build. Do you see any value in it? If they see, yes, I see a value in it, we use a product management tool called Jira in our company. So I create a Jira story there where I just whatever the mock-up design, this is nothing but a user requirement. Once it is agreed by the users that yes, this is a high priority issue for me, I mark it as highest priority. That's what I'm trying to explain. It is easy for us to get a user's stats for the existing products that we are building, but how many people are doing it? Are you doing it? If you are working on an existing product, do you know who are the top 100 users of your product? Can you tell me? You are having a product like HR. Do you know who are the top 100 companies who are using your product and what features that they like the most? We are talking about building a product from scratch. But for the existing product, you are building a product. Do you do this exercise? We did. That's the point I wanted to highlight through this meetup, right?
And even you can't do this for all the products.
No, you can. You can. There is no. I'm telling you to get this data for. This is a SAP. SAP is a product which will not give you any user stats, because if you enable users tracking, the performance will hit. And then you have to write custom SQL queries to get these stats. So you need to put in extra effort to get these stats.
We had a case study around it. We had a product like concrete.
We did have a workshop.
So we had to make this reporting engine. So the customers have got 77 reports built in. So we said, you know what, we should implement Google Analytics and let's see which are the reports being used by the customer. If you really want to go and spend 3 months building it out, and because it's an existing product, we asked, are there any known issues? They said, no, you guys figured it out. Why should I tell you there are known issues? Okay, fine. So we did some POCs. In the meantime, we implemented Google Analytics. So let's see, we pale So POCs kare, we took easiest sample as POCs ki check karke dekhte hain. Everything went very well. All the reports, custom reports are working in a smaller proportions. So by the time we finished a month, we said, let's look at the stats also. Out of 77, only 4 were being accessed. 4. So, and those 4 were export to Excel. So basically, nobody is using their built-in reports or graphs they wish to introduce. So we went back to the customer. Can you give us access to the user who would like to talk to them? That why only these 4? Why do they not use it? So they said, not everybody, but to some we can. So we went to the customers, we asked users actually that we see that you go here, you click on the download link, you export the data. Yeah, that's what I need. I don't need your fancy reports. I am very satisfied. I don't want you to touch the interface. We went back, so we started collecting this feedback. Now the product owner said, you know what, if you give a piece of shit, they'll be happy with that too. So these are not the right users to interview. Then why did you give us access to them? You asked for it, so I care. So he said, okay, I'll give you another set of users. We went there also. They talked about everything but reporting. So we again went back. I said, it's not their pain. Do you still want us to go ahead and do it? They have some other pain areas which we have uncovered. We should go and focus there. He said, no, my competitor gives reports, so I need to give it. We spent 3 months just to uncover that the database would not support such extensive reports because there are around 40 plus tables. When you go and do the joins, the system crashes. And he said the same problem my actual development team faced a year back. I said the very first thing we asked you, are there any known issues? You should go and uncover it yourself.
Exactly.
So now they have ended up paying money. We got paid, but I said, you did not share all these things.
Exactly.
So last year we did a similar exercise. So we sent out a survey to all our clients, asking them like, what are the features that you like the most in our product, what are the ones they want us to improve, and what are the features that are being missing. So it's like we asked them to actually rate us on everything. So then we did some weightage analysis to come up with the results like these are the most liked, and then these are the ones missing, and then these are the ones that they want us to work on. So we prioritized the features using the weighted average, and then actually we are working on those.
But the question is like you are asking, it's a survey. I mean, so how do you know like the people who have voted or gave a feedback in the surveys are actually the champions? See, my question, I mean, what this user stats basically help you to identify champions. Not every user is a champion. You have to find out champions, and they people will give you feedback. They people are using your application, and they are the champions. The problem with us is we are sending that's why I said like market research and surveys. They are mediums to get the feedback from the user, but these are how effective. I mean, if I take my example, I get 10 surveys in a day in an email. I feel none of them. Do you? Do you feel? I mean, do you give any surveys? Do you feel any surveys?
There are two things. So like you have products which are B2C and the products which are B2B. So if our products are like B2B. So if you are sending the survey, the analysts who are actually working on the product, they send us back the survey. It's like because we have meetings, if they are not sending it, we remind them. So even if they are not doing it, because we have like yearly like get-togethers or summits, we talk to them, ask them like, what is it that they are.
If your product is a B2B, then if you're selling to 10 companies, do you know like who are the top 10 companies who are using your product? And then out of these top 10 companies, who is the actual user who is actually sitting on the system and using your product?
Yeah, I think that we can. It's not difficult to find that out because we don't have many customers. Then we can find out because.
So what is more effective? Sending a survey to all the customers or reaching out to first top 10 particular that person who is actually in the company who is actually sitting in the system and who is using this application? You are solving a problem for that particular person, not for a company, because he's the one who is using your product. He's a champion.
Yeah, I was working on a product and we adopted both the ways. So our clients, they had a marketing team and they had sent out surveys to a huge number of users. And we also incorporated mixed panel analytics and Neuralink for actually the correct statistics. And what we found out was again the same thing. The surveys were being sent out. We then had to derive the meaningful information, but it wasn't actually the right source because
that is what I'm saying. Yeah. When you are the owner of your product, you have built the product. Who is stopping you to gauge the status? Use the stats. Who is stopping you?
But there used to be these problems
before these tools. I had a performance module that we had to build up, and we were converting a new UI, UX, the whole application.
Yeah.
So they said that we want the admin section also to be revamped. It should look contemporary. Yeah. So the first thing I asked was, since the government organization, we told them what's the biggest jurisdiction, right? So they just named a few of them, and what I did was I just ran a simple SQL query as to when was the last login made by their administrators on those jurisdictions, and they were dated 2014, 2016. And I said, why do you want to revamp something which your users are not even using?
That's where
they said, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and that was deprioritized to go from top to right the bottom of the list.
Okay, there can be challenges also, like let's say you're creating a desktop application for Windows.
Yeah.
So instrumenting into it and figuring out usage patterns. I don't know what all tooling is available for it. That can be challenging, but for most of the applications,
see the kind of work that we do, I can talk about that. Either we are building an online product or mobile app, right? Most of us, right?
So that's not a challenge then.
That's not a challenge.
Yep.
And trust me, I have been in many situations where I challenge business with this data. Why do you need this feature? I don't see, I have data. This feature is not required at all. Nobody's using it. Why do you want to enhance? So see, I am creating a value for my business also. My client is also happy saying, because I am convincing him that he wants to spend money on a particular feature, but I'm giving a data, this feature is not at all required.
We have also done this.
We don't need to. And that's where I build a trust with the client. And then probably I can, if I suggest him, these are top 100 features that we think that you should invest in. Do you still see that we should make more enhancement in these 10 areas first? And that's where you're building up trust with the client, and that's the beauty, when you work with such clients, when you gain the trust, these clients are for your lifelong clients that you will have, and they will recommend you like anything to other clients as well. And that's how we do not have a sales team at home. It's very fascinating for me when I went into Mckinsey. There is no sales team. We do not have marketing team. We do not have sales team. Because
we do have a strategic planning team, which is very effective.
Yes, that's how. The very pure funda is create an impact. We are not here to earn dollars. Yes, we will earn if we create an impact. And how you can create an impact? Go with the data. It has to be fact-based. Whatever decisions that you are taking, it has to be fact-based. Nobody can challenge you. If I go to my business owner, I'm a product owner for my company, I go to my product owner of the business, and I tell him, so this is the feature, I have seen the user stats, nobody is using it. You are asking me to build this feature. Do you think it is a value add? And then he himself will say, I think you are right. आज क्या हो रहा है? उसने बोल दिया business ने, let's pick it up because business has said it. Who is prioritizing it? Business is prioritizing it. What is your role then? So that's where I just wanted to touch base these two areas.
People lack this skill.
See, that's where
is the main problem.
It's not skill. It is nobody's asking the status quo question. What is if I go into a
that is the skill.
Yeah, that's a skill.
How to communicate about this thing that this is not the right thing.
So I lost the context. No, it's not. This is not the right thing. It's not the right thing. I would say that as per the user stats, you can have a definitely meeting with your stakeholders monthly.
We just recently started a product for a legal firm in US. So we are in the sprint 1, which is again wireframing, doing some sort of interaction, having the task flows ready, the SH layer. So wireframe is done, more or less task flow defined. Now the mock-up stage came. So हमने envision के अंदर डाल के there's all interaction.
And imagine is powerful,
Yeah. So now there is a feature called, a user has to go and unlock the request from the another person. So we said, okay, let's highlight how many number of unlocked requests are there for the user to log onto his dashboard. So it says 3. And उसके साथ इतना बड़ा लिखते हैं pending requests. So I asked the team, I said, could it be anything else from pending request to that, there's a small widget, you are working on a large resolution. It also needs to be responsive. So the more, wider widgets we have, we'll have a lot of verticals call when I go to tab or mobile, interface. They said, but client ने बोला है pending request होना चाहिए. But my question is very simple. Can 3 be something else? Because the header says, am I an unlocked request? They said, no. So can you show pending request in some other form? So then we went back to the customer, what is your goal? He said, no, we want to make it very simple. Judge na karna, bole hai kya? So, they had something like this. I'll show you real quick. You have this application. There are widgets like this. So if I have a large resolution, it will actually work. So and it says 3 pending request, and then there's a name of the request which is coming. Now this section is very small. So let's say if it is Subramaniam LLC, it will wrap down. That means this particular widget becomes like this. These are empty spaces, giving the impression that it's not very designed. So you can get this widget question something like this, like calendar was maybe say pending request in whether red or something. Now this whole space is available. Same thing, but this needs to be asked.
Yes.
And has to be what is our goal?
Right. So there are a lot of interesting case studies. I think अगर Microsoft के कभी example देखो, Microsoft 2015-17 भी आया था. So when they come up with the user stats, they thought they did surveys and they asked we are giving new features in Microsoft 2017. So they did the survey. People said I like this feature a lot, I like this feature a lot. And you don't believe it, most of the features that people think that was already in 2013. So they were surprised in 2017 what are the features that they have launched, nobody is using it.
We did a practical test also this because I was having a hard time explaining. So the manager of the team comes and says the customer is finicky. I've just lost one client. मुझे अपनी ability पे आज pressure हो रहा है. यार तुम सब बंद करा दो. सारे customer ही खराब होने लगे हमारे. He said, "Is problem क्या है?" He said, every day they are changing and there will be too much of slippage towards next sprint. I said, what are the changes? So he said, there's a grid. So we had, again, I'll show you here. We have a grid in the same screen, the data. Right? So data is there. So there's an icon which says tick, and there's an icon like this, which is usually related for delete. This icon. There's another one which is this. This has got 2 states, active and inactive, and this is again active. So, okay, what is the change now customer is asking? He says, इसको ना आप यहाँ पे करो locked, unlocked. So आप click करोगे, select कर लेना फिर यही के ना दोनों लिखेंगे, and यहाँ पे कर दो rejected. Now the other person comes in or the other stakeholder comes in. He says, "नहीं, I can make a where इसको थोड़ा पता है कि जरूरत नहीं है इसको क्या होता." So I said, "Now what is your problem with the customer को पता नहीं." So let's do our due diligence. So let's make small change. So we did this, and we get this icon like this. इसको इसलिए इन्वर्ट किया icon. So we called out marketing guys without showing the context. I said, what is this? He said, you're activating something or maybe approving something. And what is this? He said, we delete. I said, what is this? He said, don't mind, this is some sort of unlock and lock. easy. Like they could have done it, is your kind of
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's a marketing guy. You just reach out to and just ask the icons. No?
Right, but if your customer says put locked and locked, okay, we'll do it. So that's where you have to question that, are we communicating something else? Why do you need it so explicit in a string?
And that's where I think important for any of the product manager or a business analyst. See, when I interview any product manager or business analyst, I just see how many questions this guy is asking. If I'm giving a case, if he's asking question, he's a right, probably, maybe I would see him as a good product manager because he's asking questions.
But right questions.
First of all, he's asking questions. Then, obviously, you will just handle the right question.
So, there's an RFP we sent to one of the guys. So, he's a consultant. So, we are trying to work with him. It says it's a legal product. Everything is written there. The first question is, are you catering to legal industry? See, that's the first time we have written here. What kind of question is that? Are you making a web-based application?
Exactly.
That's also written there.
Exactly. I got your point. Like you were asking a right question probably. So, in fact, we did a workshop also in a company where we try to. We are not solving problems. First of all, try to understand where the existing problem, whatever problem that they are sharing, is it a problem? First of all, we never intervene and try to understand whether the problem that people are saying is a problem, whether it actually is a problem. Most of the times you will see, if you dig deep into that problem, you'll see it's not a problem at all. But what we are doing is, we are listening, we are picking up, and we are building it up. That's what all of us are doing. And that's why I just brought it in two ways, where if you're building a new product, you wanted to do a lot of market research. Right. But see, whatever that you have built it up, you're not doing it for that. How passionate you are to do it for a new product. And that's a huge gap in the industry, and that's where I feel most of the products are failing in the industry.
And secondly, on that, I'm really inspired by Steve Jobs' biography, where he said that sometimes, most of the time, the customers don't even know what they want. So you have to educate the customers. So that's what I loved about Steve Jobs. I see him as a visionary, right? Nobody thought that somebody would buy.
But a lot of people, they are not Steve Jobs like this. They supposed to be one. Like we are telling him, your reports nobody is using. He said, what? They don't know what they need. I said,
I'm telling you, I have the example where a customer came to me. I wanted to decommission this system because I wanted to build it because we have built a new system. So the old system has to be decommissioned. Okay, let's say it's fine. So that's a problem. So the first thing I did is I just asked my team, give me user stats of the old system, give me the user stats of the new system. Nobody was using the new system. Everybody was using the old system. So I reached out to the business. Do you still think that we need to decommission it? Everybody is using this only. Although you have built it up, it is live, but nobody is using it. Adoption is a huge challenge in the industry today. They are building products and nobody is using it.
The problem is onboarding, how you onboard your customers.
That's also, but again, then the theory comes in. If you have to onboard a user, then what's the user experience that you are giving? The tool should be self-explanatory. There's no onboarding for that tool. There are many theories, right? It means you are saying that you are giving your best user experience to your tool, and then you are saying that you have to onboard that customer. It's a contradictory statement. So that's where I thought just to bring this topic in, because that's how, if I write a user story today for my product, so I'll make sure whatever features that I have, I just paste that user stats data with whatever discussion I have with the business along in the Jira. I put it as attachment. If I made the story a highest priority story for my priorities highest, it is based on the user stats and the discussion I had with the business. And then we come to a conclusion that this feature is the highest priority feature. And that's how I prioritize. Nowhere written in Scrum and Agile.
A lot of times we also do A/B testing. When say there's a new feature coming in on the website already exists. Yes. Put the two interfaces and then see which one is being used more. A lot of companies invest huge on A/B testing. Huge money. Like Booking.com is one of the companies who invest a lot on usability research. They claim that they have 3-figure alpha beta tests, like hundreds, at any given point of time running on their website.
Okay. So here might be a question from small scale startups. Do we need a usability testing team to get all these stats?
No, I think Google Analytics API is free of cost. If your web application is there, you just need to copy paste a certain link and you can get the user stats.
See, again, your question is, do we need usability testing?
So do we need a
What
group
stats?
for getting all these users reports, A/B testing?
A/B testing is different thing altogether.
This all comes in when we have a feature in place and we say, is this the better way to use it or is this the better way to use it, right? But if you are a startup, are you struggling with the visitors coming onto your application or are you struggling at the ideation phase? That's very important to understand. Like if we are, let's say we are doing the analytics of, is this reporting feature being used? That's a separate analytics. Use or I can versus is this report being used or this interface? Like for example, a graphical representation is being used more or a Tableau interface is being used more. This is my A/B testing. On an e-commerce site, if I have a banner that says, Women's Day, or there's a product for women's like t-shirts, versus if I have a women's same banner in pink color versus blue color where they can relate more. Having cosmetics on the banner versus aprons, which attracts more clicks. Content same है, वो जाके same category page पे रहा है. And we are just doing
it is not complex. You are changing banners. So what you are setting in the background is for certain location or for certain time you will show this banner, and for most of the time you are using the assisting feature. Flipkart did a lot of this testing. Technically, it is not that complex at all. It is not A/B testing. It's simple. It's just you are changing for certain location of you just adding like for certain location probably or for certain region or certain time period. You are showcasing a different UI, and you are seeing whether at that time usage is more or that time usage is more when people are using the existing feature. And that's how people are doing user research, understanding their user behavior better. And based on the data, you cannot just sit here and tell, Flipkart is popular. Just because of Flipkart, if you see the profile picture comes on left, Twitter comes on left, LinkedIn comes on left, it is just because of now people are used to this application. And that's when all the new applications which build up like this, which has a profile picture, the tendency is to have it on left because people are used, that's a behavior which is already created.
Okay, so we have discussed several different ways of, getting data about, how to prioritize. You have given one way, which is, getting your usage stats. Maybe
for the existing products, if you want to prioritize any feature, I think that's what we are doing. Understand the users, understand the usage, have a discussion with your business people, and then come to a conclusion whether this is a high priority or a lowest priority. But it has to be backed by some data. It cannot be just high priority. Otherwise, everything is highest for the business.
Okay, what about for new products?
That's where I shared like initially, there are two kind of products. And that's where I just wanted to brainstorm with you guys. You also, that's the intent of these meetups. You also think, as I mentioned earlier, like there are a lot of ways. There are companies who can do market research. Do you want to invest that much of money in market research or to get a survey done? Or there are some better ways. So there's no answer to it. If you get an answer to it, everybody will make a product which is successful in the market today.
See, I think for every feature, the one way is that ask the critical questions. Why is this feature required? For whom? How important is that target audience? That helps us calculate the weight or the value that feature brings in to the product. Then you prioritize it, which is the maximum value. Because our goal is at the end of the sprints or later, we should be left with only minimum ones. And then we compare, does it make sense to invest X cost for these minimum features, or are we good to go with MVP with this one?
There were also some methods like Moscow method.
Correct.
So, have you ever used those in McKinsey?
Not exactly. I think it's based with the team. Like, I am pure data guy. I believe in data. I see data and then I take a decisions. I don't take decisions without data. So that's my personal way of working.
No, but in the new product, you don't have data. A lot of data would not be there.
No, for like I'm managing internal products, for example, if I'm managing 3 products and it's an existing product because I'm not building a new product for the client.
No, I'm talking about the new products. Like maybe say is this some, so let's say, reporting, is this a must-have answer? Yes, we need to see the data, how the product is being used. But a beautiful UI for an administrator should have, because administrator those are unit, right? It doesn't make sense to spend upfront on the admin interface because it's just getting to 2 or 3 users at max. So I would rather use the front end or prioritize the front end because that's a must-have for me.
Exactly.
UX, UX.
I got it. And that's where I think I'll give one more example. I built an app for one of the telecom companies, new product. So for that, what we did is what I showed you now. So we did a prototype. So just low fidelity for prototype just to understand the content first. That because we are not investing huge money in it, and that's a quick low fidelity design that I can create. I can reach out. I did reach out to them. This is how the mobile app will look like with the content. Do you see any changes in the content? He can do it right away. I just made changes right away. Is it fine now? Do you think you need to add, any further details in this particular? Because see, what we are doing with new product is we are just talking verbally or we are writing huge documents, but we are not like creating mock-ups because mock-up is probably one place where you can have a constructive discussion, and we are not having a click-through application so that user can experience also, and you're not investing huge money. That's what I'm saying. The problem is if we are investing huge money in getting the requirements, that's a pain, and that's why I first mentioned I'm using mockups or maybe InVision. InVision is like you can upload your new designs and you can create a click-through, but in mockup you can create low fidelity designs or you can upload high fidelity design as well. So it has both features.
So that's one parameter. Again, when it comes to new products, obviously, money is a factor. So I believe marketing is something, data, and again, usability factors. What else do you consider?
For
In case of a new product, success of a new product.
better engineering. But सबसे important, very important.
I think for me, everything is taken care of. Marketing, you need to compare money.
It's just a discussion. Because for existing products, obviously we have to.
See, I tell you, we are asking these questions also because we have not experienced the startup culture. When you go through their case studies or even listen to their podcasts, people who are successful. The first startup they made, they said first year we made nothing. We were on the verge to get broke. Second startup, probably 6 months we started making money. Third or fourth startup, we said we had the customer the first day we started the engineering. They learned over the period of time. It doesn't make sense to wait for customer acquisition to happen. So that's where painkiller and the
and in this journey they understand different aspects. Sometimes they understand this is not required.
Because even like WhatsApp, it actually was a painkiller. You saved some money on text messages. So that's how we started businesses were done.
So a lot of times we try to do users research. The core concept changes to something else because we have uncovered a need.
Yeah.
Instead of something to do.
And I think that's where I think Rajat was on bang on when he said user research word, because I think that's where the focus is and that's where the focus should be. User research will help you to understand problem. As of now, we are not understanding problem, we are just solving problems. Important is to understand problem, and that's a problem with the existing products and that's a problem with the new products. And I think the intent should be understand the problem. How better you understand the problem, the way more successful your product is. I think that's the takeaway I think maybe I wanted to share with this session, probably because I wanted to show you like for the existing product, that's how I am prioritizing it, the stories. And I attached these as a screenshot in the Jira item. For all of us, for all the team members to understand why we have prioritized it. Otherwise, I just put it as highest. Nobody's aware of why it is highest. The entire team, when we say cross-functional team should understand. If I make story as a highest, who is going to understand? How do you know that it is the highest feature? Then everybody knows, like, yes, there's a decision taken in the business. There's a users which is saying that this feature is a high priority. I mean, most of the people are using this particular feature. You can get user stats for a particular feature also, and we have the capability. Yeah. And I think mobile analytics is free of cost. It's free. I think it's free, right? It's free of cost.
Enterprise is paid.
Yeah, enterprise is paid, but I think for the applications, for a startup kind of a people who have launched their product in the market, they are doing it right now, and that's where they are getting, because they do it just to get started so that they can present it to the investors and get. That's how they are getting the funding, because that data is required to take a decision.
Okay, Deepanshu, we had a discussion earlier. We were thinking about that the next event that we have for Agile Chandigarh, the conference, treating it like a product. It is a product actually. It has many different stakeholders. It has many different users. How should we go about, planning it? How do we prioritize the different? How do we do user research around it? Like, should we put it to the entire group? Can we try something?
Yes, I think that's where I think we can try, and that's I think one thing that we did is if you see, we created posted kind of idea board. Like I shared an idea board where the intent was to get ideas that what do you want to learn in the upcoming conferences. So there are many ways of doing it. Confine is there, where people post their topics and they vote there, and then people pick it up that this is a topic which is people like a lot, right? So that's one way of doing it, right? Either we post topics in such engines where people vote and pick up topics from there, so that we can plan, and these are topics which are high in demand and we should pick it up. But I think these topics for such kind of platform, the audiences, the NCR, Bangalore region, and they are far advanced than what we people are doing here. So that's why I thought of not going to that engines and posting, these are topics that we want to take it over here. I think for our conference, majority of the population will be from Chandigarh, and we have the data as well for that, right? Majority, 80% of the population is from Chandigarh or in and around. So idea is to reach out to them to understand what exactly their need is. What do you want to learn in the conference?
Okay, who are the personas? Like
personas
of this product. Then let's do an exercise. We'll put you on the spot. Let's see. Let's see how Mckinsey does it.
I think everybody has to do it, right?
We'll do it all together. So let's see how to do it.
Okay, then we can have this marker. We need input from everyone. Like now, the product is that we have to do a conference next year.
So who are the different personas who would be involved in the product?
Yep. So personas.
So there is the speakers, there is the audience, the attendees, then
speakers is one of the personas. Do you think like they will give you an input? What kind of content that they want in the conference?
I don't know, again, content is one thing. So,
when I say I wanted to make a successful Agile Chandigarh conference, what can create an impact?
Okay, let's do this.
Okay. What can create an impact? Let's do
it. Let's call it Agile Carnival. Okay. This will decide on something 2018. Let's call it that.
There are two ways to look at it. Either we look at all the speakers and decide our audience and what we
my question is
whether it be our audience.
My question
and our topics, and then decide like what our speakers should be.
I think the question should be, I think we wanted to do a conference next year.
Yeah.
And we wanted the intent of this conference is to create an impact in the lives of the people who are actually working, who are using Agile, or maybe who are working in the IT industry, specifically majority of the population that we want to get at. I think the vision probably for this, what should be the vision? I think the vision should be that they should learn something from it, and so that we can transform the way they people are working in their existing setup. And they should be, at the end of the conference, everybody should say, this is the best conference I had so far. The content or whatever, food or the ambience, whatever it is.
So who are attendees? Okay, attendees.
What is the meaning of this? What do you put them over
this conference? The
let's put attendees as one of the personas.
No, yes, I want to even go to that. It has to be goals.
Yeah, it has to be ideation, getting a vision exercise.
Many people can have different goals related to the same product.
No.
Like Facebook.
Let's say we said, so you want to organize an event.
Yeah.
So अभी organizer जो event कर रहा है, उसका goal क्या है?
Organizer is one of the personas. They have a goal.
They are, but उनका persona, like why
are you doing it?
Yeah. So that's what I said. Why am I doing it? Why is
changing the lives of the people?
So again, it has to be from measurable, like you said, learn. So learn is one keyword, and second keyword was something. So I won't explain something because it might be related to you, and I may understand something as, with my own context.
Maybe exposure, exposure to world-class people.
I'll give you, for example, you said कि अगर Delhi, Bangalore में होता तो हम कुछ और करते, because Chandigarh है तो यहाँ हमारे So why don't you say that this is the problem, that this population is not exposed or does not have expertise in following this, which other part of the nation has. We want to bring this here, so maybe how to do user research. Second is critical thinking, like defining the roadmaps.
I said the content because at times that's the feedback that I get once I did the first conference, because that was a little level 2 or level 3 for people and they were at level 1. And that's where I said, there's a difference in why the content or the topics which is there in Gurgaon or maybe Hyderabad, they're a little advanced in nature, and for people like us, it is difficult to understand or maybe to create, to actually, intent is these content should add value. Right? I think, so when I say Agile, why we want to do it, because these kind of conferences or meetups are not happening in Chandigarh. That's the why aspect of it. Specifically when we talk about the product management. So there is no conference on product management in Chandigarh at this point in time.
That is what I would say. I think we have started a meetup on product management in Chandigarh, and we have collaborated with Product Tank, which is an international meetup that organizes meetup in more than 50 cities around the world. So it's just we have to sign up the agreement formally, and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's fine. And the intent should be, I think that's what I'm saying. Why we are doing it? Because we want to build that community. We want to build that culture in the city that people should come, talk, learn. Right? They should network. They should understand what is happening in maybe Triangle, what kind of product that you guys are building, what are the challenges that you are facing. Let's understand each other. Let's network each other. Right? That's the kind of community that we want to bring. So that's the why aspect of it.
So let's do it. Let's do it. Like networking is one of the things.
So one of the things that you would like to do is to increase the Agile community in Chandigarh. One of the goals would be that.
Not Agile, I would say community. Just I would say it's a community who can actually create an impact in whatever they are doing in the IT industry.
I think what I understand, according to my experience, is that there's too little experience to move towards tools, for example, to get better at whatever they are doing. So the perspective towards delivering the best, using the best tools, increasing productivity and increasing their efficiency and effectiveness. Yeah. That's something which I see that could be.
So what I see from this is actually trying to pool together the people around here in Chandigarh, because people here don't go to conferences. There are very less meetups. If you go to any other state, I guess, to Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, there are a lot of meetups and a lot of stuff is happening. It depends how you put your conference. It has to be like from the beginning, like from step 1, 2, 3, 4, how long the conference is going to be depends how complex the stuff is going to be towards the end. So it has to be like that always.
Yeah.
So that's very important for a conference to success, for the success of the conference. Or else,
I'm not thinking about the success of the conference. I'm thinking why I'm doing it, because there's a gap, there's a need. If I'm doing it, we have to build that community. Now, the question should be, the bigger question should be,
what is this community?
I don't want this to be successful, but this is a medium for people to get successful.
What does this customer want here? That's what you're.
Or how this medium can impact the life of say 1,000 people who are living in Chandigarh, who are living and working in Chandigarh.
So first thing we do is everyone working in IT is our target audience, or do we have to filter out like that this is the probably section of the people working in IT?
Now if you ask me, I have the data. I have the data.
Yeah, you have the data.
I have the data. There are 90% of the population who have attended my previous conferences in 2015 and 2016. Majority of them, like 90%, more than 90%, they are from the IT background. And 10% are the others. There was real estate people from real estate, there are people from medical background, there are people from pharmaceutical industry who have attended our conference last time. But majority of the population, more than 90, is from the IT.
Yeah, but within IT, like not everyone is our target audience, right?
So I guess everyone should be our target audience.
Is it like product managers, business analysts, or developers?
Like we everyone.
In IT, for this particular
yes, so now
now
what I'm saying is one of the user persona is now we have defined the segment.
Yeah.
So as a conference owner, probably our target audience would be the IT professional majority. If somebody wanted to join there, we are fine with it. Okay, like that's fine. But majority of the population should be from the IT background. Now we talk about within the IT. Now you're saying some are developers, so these are different user personas. IT is not a user personas. Developer probably is a user persona. Developer, if he is attending the conference, it means he wanted to learn some technical aspect of product management. He wanted to learn some tools from technical aspect which can increase his or her productivity or whatever the problem statement that we are trying to address for that particular person. So developer, I would say, is one of the persona.
Yeah, so that's why how we want to see like how our software can this Agile Carnival benefit these different user personas.
Exactly. So first of all, now what I'm saying is we have a conference. We know what is the vision. Vision is build a community, learn some tools, networking, improve their productivity. But see, Agile Carnival is a user group of scrum-alliance, and scrum-alliance has a vision of transform the way we work. That's a tagline of Scrum. So we wanted that way. We wanted to transform the way that we work today. And when we say transform, it means how we can be more effective or maybe more efficient in whatever we are doing right now. That's the goal, and that's already there. Now, when we say this is the visioning exercise, then we need to understand what kind of target. Now, as the product is there, what is my segment? Segment is majority IT industry, right? IT industry is the segment, majority. I'm not thinking about 10%. They may join, they may not, as per their wish. But majority is IT only. Now, we have defined the segment. Now, within the segment, what should be the age group? It should be open to everyone. Well, now, if we define the users' personas, then probably we'll get to understand, what should be majority. So, I'll say developer should be one of the user personas who will attend this conference. Who else will be there? BAs.
Some students, I guess.
Yes, you got it right. Students. I have the data. 20% of the students was there in the previous conferences. Yeah. Students were there. There are a lot of people from my college.
Coaches, yeah, trainers.
Trainers can be there. We can think of, we can write all the. So these are agile trainers, right?
Right.
And
Managers, project managers and product managers.
Yeah,
QAs.
managers. Product managers.
Product managers. Then project manager, product and project.
Yeah.
I'll slide it here.
We think of HRs also.
HRs, interesting. Yeah.
Because the part of people and culture, the environment thing, I'm thinking that.
Yeah, maybe if you really want your organization to be flat, there's no hierarchy. There is agile way of working. So
there's also another aspect of it. Agile Chandigarh for participants is something else. For sponsors, it is something else.
Yes.
When we approach the sponsors,
So sponsor
okay, so that would be
One persona.
another
Sponsor
person.
is one personas.
Just like Facebook for its users, users have different goals, but Facebook, the business, it has different goals. It might have features for managing the advertisement and
He wanted majority of the population who is attending. You have to give the data. Like if I want to convince Mercedes-Benz to be my sponsor, then I tell him like my audience will be majority of the senior managers whose salary is more than 20 lakh per annum, who are the potential customers who can buy Mercedes-Benz. Only then he will sponsor it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So obviously that's how we do. When we reach out to sponsors, that's how we create a plan. But coming to that, we need to do this exercise first for a product. Like who are the users?
Speakers.
Speakers is also one of the personas.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll share one example here, like speakers. When we launched for the first time, like when we did the Agile Chandigarh 2015, it's a new group, and if I ask you or anyone, any good speaker to come to a conference or maybe to come to speak in a conference, and that was the first time, right? So nobody was really interested, to be honest, like coming and giving a talk, because that's not a very high profile or maybe not matching their expectation, right? So as a speaker, what they want is a recognition. As a speaker, what do you want? Recognition, right? People, as a speaker, if I'm going to some elite institute, it's a recognition for me, and that's how we actually targeted ISB. Why we targeted ISB? One of the main reasons was to bring quality speakers on board. Had it been in any of the 5-star hotel, I could have attracted a lot of good speakers, but having it in ISB, my upper hand was there. I can choose which speaker I wanted to bring in Chandigarh. Because I did this mapping, speaker wanted, it's a statement for any speaker, they will post it. I was a speaker at Agile Carnival Chandigarh, which happened at ISB, because it's carrying a brand value with it.
So you satisfied that persona through this way.
That persona we satisfied. Now see, understand the behavior, psychology here. If I ask you to deliver a talk at ISB, how do you feel it? It's in sense of achievement. You will probably add to your resume as well. It's common sense. It's user behavior, and that's how you satisfy them. And that's where I think that's one example just to showcase you how we satisfy most of the speakers. And that's why we have 30 plus speakers in first conference. And most of the CEOs of the Chandigarh region, Vinchata, what you name any company, Santa Banta, every CEO was there at ISB, the very first conference that we had.
Was Santa and Banta also
there? Right? So that's how you need to understand your users and their behaviors and see what exactly they want, and then target them. And that's how we convince them, and that's we call it art of persuasion. And that's again theory, and it's very simple theory. Now coming back to this personas again. So how you can satisfy a developer? It means that you have to bring a content which can help this developer learn some new tools, or maybe developer wanted to have some networking opportunity with some company so that he can get a job.
Okay, how do we figure out? Let's say
that's a normal discussion.
So again, us saying developer ko ye chahiye versus how like this is a new product. We don't have any data around developer ko kya chahiye. How should we do it? कैसे मॉकअप करके क्या उसको प्रेजेंट करें कि वो बताए कि हाँ ये मेरे को चाहिए.
Whatever we are doing, I can just create a same diagram, a similar diagram we can create on mockups also. Like we have different personas, and in each persona, what is the expectation? Just list it down there. Like I showed you one diagram where I have created a personas, and for each personas, what is the expectation? What actually the role he will play in that conference, and that's where you have to brainstorm within a group. And to understand, is this the right expectation? Then probably once I've done this activity, I'll show the developer's expectation to a developer. tell me, maybe to 5 or 6 developers, tell me, do you think I'm going to do this conference and these are the 5 things that we thought that you would like to see in the conference? Do you think these 5 things are enough for you, or do you think that there are 6 or 7 other points that you wanted to add on?
I think when you start talking about the startup product, you say that we need to do a user research and we should start from our home. So probably we can do the same thing here because we have the developers, we have the product managers. We can ask them directly why do they want to attend.
That's a close team first, broad team. Like when we create Agile Carnival, say 2018 core team, it will comprise of few team members and volunteers. We will discuss initially among ourselves that what product that we wanted to bring, what are the user personas that we have, and we do this exercise among ourselves. And then probably we'll reach out to maybe some developer. This is what we think that you wanted from this conference. Do you think this is sufficient?
No,
I'm doing the same thing. See, same chart, same mock-up, bit diagrams.
The internal qualification will also work. One reason that you are like, there's one question like, are you the user of the product? Similarly, are you the attending? Then your response actually adds well. If not, but you are like us, only attending, but software developer is here. No, I will not give that much weightage. But if I am the actual user of the product, then it comes, yes. Now you know. So if you're a software developer, you say, I'm one of the attendees and this is what I want to achieve. It definitely gets into the...
And to be honest, if you see last day conference, every session we had a feedback tool. And that feedback tool is used to give us a feedback whether the content is good or not. Because that content we showcase to speaker, you got 5 rating out of 10. The content was pathetic. That's not we are telling you, that's the data which is telling you, that's a conference audience which is telling you, you need to improve. As of now, no conference take a feedback and tell the speaker that you did a fantastic job or you were pathetic in the conference. And how will the speaker will learn? And that's what is happening in the industry. Same set of people, they are traveling everywhere, same talk, same content, nothing. That's a failure. And I think that's where I say that we wanted to bring that change in
so this time, why don't you try and make one persona as the companies? Like, see, like if you're targeting 2080, let's say I'm for time. Right? So what if you reach out to companies and say, what are the challenges you face when delivering customer success?
It's excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
And if they get involved, your sponsorship problem is also solved.
So
exactly,
sponsors can be companies.
Exactly.
And company में like we'll have to figure out who are the decision makers. अब वो किस तरह के लोग होंगे वो थोड़ा persona निकालना पड़ेगा इसमें से. Idea अच्छा है.
So we identify pain, we tell them this is your pain.
Yeah.
Right? Like for example, Deepanshu said, because I really like the line touch कीजिए. हैदराबाद, बैंगलोर में अच्छे लोग होते हैं. यहाँ भी होते हैं.
यही statement थी जिसकी वजह से Chandigarh group बना. Because that's what I heard also. 4 years, 3 years back. Yeah, Chandigarh में तो कुछ होता नहीं है. वहाँ पे तो सब retirement की जिंदगी निकालते हैं लोग. It's a slow city. It's a yes city. It's a whole city.
उनको video दिखाना.
That should be one of our goals basically. That challenge the status quo, not undermine the people who are in Chandigarh, or probably wake them up out of their complacency and probably take that as a goal so that we step them up. We don't assume that they would need the basics. Let's step a level up, because only when you move people out of their comfort zone would they actually contribute.
So we should be contacting companies or maybe some sort of companies that are you facing these challenges? Every company I know they face these challenges.
Exactly.
And if yes, then we say okay, we are probably going to talk and touch these topics.
I mean, just see if we underline some area from this expectation. If developer wanted to learn some tools. Right. So from each user's persona, there are some expectations, and from that expectation, we will drive the features that we want to deliver in that product, and the feature is nothing but a talk. And that's how you can plan your conference. I mean, the same diagram, like the diagram I showed you, the personas, with each persona, there are some expectations, and with each expectations, you reach out to them specifically, check with them whether this is the right expectation. If it is the right expectation with each persona, then once you have the user's personas ready, then you can create a feature map where you can just map features with the expectation. and see what all features that we can deliver as part of, and catering to that. Now you should see सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपर्स कितने आएंगे, कंपनीज कितनी आएंगी, एचआरस कितने आएंगे. अगर एचआरस मेरे पास सिर्फ 2% ही आएंगे तो शायद इनकी एक्सपेक्टेशन में फुलफिल नहीं कर पाऊंगा. मैं कितनी करूंगा, सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपर्स करूंगा, बेस नहीं करूंगा, प्रोबेबिलिटी प्रोबेबिलिटी करूंगा, because majority of the population, four of them have the majority population in the conference, right? And that's where I try to sit. Then I prioritize within my users personas also based on my understanding who is going to attend my conferences in a huge number, and then probably I'll take the priority for that particular person, the product manager more. Let's talk more about the management aspect of how we can improve the management aspect of it, because in the conference you cannot satisfy everyone. So still, after doing this exercise also, there are still some people who are not satisfied with the conference. That's fine. But what I'm trying to say is, after this exercise, I think the same thing that I'm just reiterating the same thing. We both mentioned the same thing, like create this users personas, write down the expectations, go reach out to them, understand whatever you think is right, because you are also making some assumptions. Go to them, check with them your assumptions are right or not. If it is right, then come back, discuss among your close group, and then define features and map that features with the expectation, and then see whether the product that you are, or list of features that you get is something which is meeting their expectation or not. Again, maybe once you have the features in place, you reach out to them, tell them, see, you want to learn some tool. We wanted to talk about Cucumber in our next conference. Are you interested in Cucumber, or do you see any other tool which you are using or which you think can add value to most of the other QAs or some other team members? So then you can ask more specific question, and then you can define the feature list. And the features are there, features nothing but the list of topics. And then you can define who are the speakers who can actually deliver that content. And to get that quality of content, you either reach out to the speaker and then get reference, or you can ask people whether this speaker has a good content or not. You can get a feedback from, it's a close community in India. I mean, there are few people only who deliver talks, right? And then you can evaluate that person, or you can have a mock-up session. You can ask these speakers to come in between and take one session in one of the meetup, right? So that we can gauge whether the content is really good or not. So I think that's how, for a new product like Agile Chandigarh, I think a similar thing when I started, talk about users' personas, write down their expectations, come up with a feature list, map their expectations with the features, reach out to them, get your assumptions cleared, build that feature list, again go out to them, understand whether this is what that meets their expectation or not. If yes, build that feature. For a new product. For existing, you need to get the user stats now. I think maybe for most of the people, the product manager, I think the next thing should be to understand the user stats of the current existing products. So at least you know, if I'm managing a product or managing a project, who are my users? And I think that's first principle of Agile, understanding your users, understanding your customers.
So what we'll also do is, maybe in the next meetup, we can try to apply some theory for feature prioritization. We'll create a list of features as post-it notes, put them over here, कि maybe इस type की talk, Cucumber की बात कर ली, इस type की talk चाहिए होगी, maybe even something like
users personas.
Personas के against कि ये देखो, ये Agile trainer को ये चाहिए, speaker को ये चाहिए, ऐसे करके features डाल के, we'll try to apply maybe Moscow method also, Kano. We'll try to do that कि अच्छा ये wow वाला feature है, इसको यहाँ डालते हैं, कुछ ऐसे करके कि ये necessary है ही है, तो वो अपने को एक theory भी लगाने को मिल जाएगी.
And the tool also. I really like a tool called AHA. There's a tool called AHA, which is a product management tool. I think what we can do is we can use this particular tool and do this exercise where we can create personas there, add their expectation, which allow them. in that list, and then we'll create a feature, and we can use that tool. Let's use
Yeah, I think this is a long time of 1 month, so we can utilize this time online with that tool itself. So.
And we can, I think, online we can collaborate as well.
Yes.
Let's do it with distributed teams.
नहीं हर कोई फिर पता नहीं participate करना पाए फिर वो फिसल आउट हो ही जाता है.
नहीं फिर मीटर में discuss.
Next वाले में करना. Like if you guys are interested, we can do it.
Yeah, we can discuss whatever it is there.
So we can prioritize there in the meetup, but we can get the list earlier on.
At least I think personas can be created, expectation, feature lists can be created,
वो
and
पहले
everybody can contribute there in the online scene. Let's be realistic, just over distributed team. Right.
In my opinion, I really believe for success of a conference like Carnival, right, we should narrow down target audience also.
Yeah.
To make it more effective.
That's really
it's not necessary that we need to have a whole camera look.
Yeah,
That
I think Deepanshu
right?
said that.
And that's what I said.
Yeah.
There may be 10%, 20% developers probably or BAs and product managers. Majority of office will be there.
To make it more effective, let's say without product management, people who are coming in, or companies who are coming in, or sponsors who are coming in.
But see,
so their kind of expectation would be
I
different.
got your point. Now, if you see realistic, if I am a QA, do you think I really want to be QA throughout my life? Do you think it is realistic for me to be QA throughout my life?
No.
You are a developer. Do you really want to be a developer throughout your life?
maybe.
I'm just asking questions. We are out of business. I'm asking questions. So, if I'm saying my target audience is only, what I'm saying is my target is software development, probably product managers. Right? But I cannot stop QA to join my conference. And that is his
No, we're not stopping anyone. I'm just trying to say that to increase the success rate and to properly organize quality content, it will help us to know how should we be structured. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's
I think what you're right.
That's on Agile key, right? So the basic founding principle is self-organized teams.
correct.
They cannot work in silos. Irrespective QA है developer है, ultimately goal is ये product deliver करना है. So I must know कि तो मेरा manager किसी capacity में काम करेगा तो कैसे?
अरे कल को कोई तो बोलेगा ना कि अरे उसमें बता दो कॉन्फ्रेंस में यूजर स्टार्ट लेनी चाहिए, प्रायोरिटाइज ऐसे करना चाहिए, तो आपने कैसे प्रायोरिटाइज किया? If somebody QA attended this user research meeting and tell you यार वहाँ पे तो यूजर रिसर्च करके they prioritize things, how do you as a product manager do? You can ask question and then you will bad about it like this guy is asking me this question.
The next time that guy gets fired and he said never attend the conference.
See, that's how you build the knowledge. I still agree with you. That's why I said I already told you like product managers will be majority. Yeah, product managers. That's a focus area.
That again, coming back to the same point, that we need to raise the awareness here in Chandigarh, not undermining the people who are here. Me having worked in multiple cities and coming back to the city where I love to be, again, we need to step up a level. Probably take the comfort zone of people, break that, and then help them come out of their shells and speak up. I think that's the way we will actually grow. Otherwise, we've had recurrent meetups. We've repeated attendees coming in, but that's a very good sign that people want to learn. And when they want to learn, I think we should raise the bar. Until we raise the bar, we're going to be not challenged in the status.
And that's where you won't believe it. Last year we had a conference, we have worked around SAFE. Nobody understood what is SAFE. And I still got feedback from people that we were not able to understand the SAFE, which is a huge framework in just 3 hours workshop. So I think the intent was to bring that content in front of people. And if they really want to learn, they can go back and again study more about SAFE. But the intent was to bring that keyword in front of people that there is some framework which exists today. Learn about it. Kanban. Last year we did that. We brought Kanban, we brought SAFE in Chandigarh. You tell me how many companies in Delhi, nobody is using SAFE. Delhi, nobody is using SAFE. But still we brought that content here just with a thought. Whether you want to use it or not, you should understand or you should be aware of what is happening in the industry.
That's important. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we did.
That's important, right? Which is appreciated.
And one thing special about Agile Chandigarh is our commitment to workshops. Something practical rather than just theory.
Yeah.
we always, we try to find ways of how to engage the audience rather than, just preaching, let's just say.
It has to be more interactive.
Yeah.
It has to be more interactive.
I see, see why, again, when I say ISB, so trust me, it took 6 months to crack ISB. ISB is not a small brand, but any small group like Agile Chandigarh at that time to host an event at ISB. You have to meet directors and why they ask you critical questions. Like Pradeep is saying, they ask you critical questions. What is Agile? How it is helping ISB to build a brand. ISB is a brand itself. How you will help our community to grow. So there are a questions which happened that time, and I still remember all this question. And I did my homework. So if say why ISB, I told him Oxford is doing it. Do it. I have the data. They did it because I was prepared with my data. I told you, Oxford is doing it. Oxford has a project management, agile project management course in Oxford University. Who is stopping ISB from doing it? It's simple. It's a simple conversation. And having said that, I'm not just blaming ISB that they are not doing it. Listen, they are doing it. We should do it. And that's a sense of competition. That's basic human behavior. Oxford is doing it. Whenever ISB is doing it, ISB should do it. Let's do it. That's how we onboard ISB. So that's the intent. I mean, you just need to ask the right question. You just need to understand the expectation of your users. So I see ISB also as a user, but now we have a long-term association. It's fine. It's easy for us to convince ISB. But initially, ISB was not. It's a tough nut to crack. B is also one of the sponsors of the event. So I think that's the intent. Yeah.
Great.
We have exceeded time.
No, that's okay. In fact, we have more time, and you guys can choose to continue to have this conversation.
Yeah, I think I just kept it more informal. Like I told, I hardly believe in PPTs. I'm a person who always either give data. If you ask me, key speakers की last time का feedback क्या था, data that is what that is there. अगर मुझे किसी speaker को दोबारा बुलाना है, तो मुझे feedback लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. I know which speaker got the maximum rating, and I should call him again because people like to content. And I think that's the idea I want to throw back. Understand, ask questions. Understand.
Infosys lady was rated. Yeah, there's a trainer from Infosys. She was talking only purely technical.
Yeah, basically.
I think
QA.
No. She was talking about agile development.
She was head of quality assurance.
No, they were the one who talked about solid principles.
Yeah, there was a trainer who spoke about how would you scale your code.
How to make your code more agile. Yeah. This was in the first conference.
I attended only one, I did second.
It was the second one. Sorry.
Yeah, it was the
second one.
Now,
वो मिल जाएगा.
I think that was from Infosys. Infosys, those speakers there. One is one head of quality assurance, who is heading the lady.
But I believe she was head of trainings.
She head of trainings, right? She was head of trainings. She was earlier heading the QA, but that time she was head of trainings. Yes. So basically, Infosys के साथ ये था. When we go as a sponsor, when we ask for a sponsorship, we have to be realistic at times. So when any company gives you sponsorship, they ask for some slots. It's a limited situation, right? They wanted some slots, and that's how we have to offer them some 1 or 2 slots, just to be more realistic. Because we planned this conference in a very short period of time, hardly 2 or 3 months. I think you will remember last conference. It was like in 2 months we just planned this entire conference. So that's why it was not that great, which we expected, but still.
People enjoyed it.
People enjoyed
it immensely. Even running around in ISB,
so we
moving it, spoiling the law.
We got 8. I know the rating. We got overall rating as 8.3 out of 10 the last year.
So it wasn't bad. Okay, the lady's name. Her name is Manisha.
Manisha.
Yeah. So you have later what was the rating of her talk? He actually spoke actual problems in the development, the engineers make. But if nobody liked the content, then that's the
no. We can have. I shared. I think Surbi, you should have that Zyger feedback, right?
Okay.
It has the feedback. We have the feedback.
Does it have granular feedback?
We have each individual speaker's feedback, individual content feedback.
I'm going to work on this weekend, so I'll know more.
I've shared a lot of data with them, like how many people. We got attendance from US, we got people from UK, right, in last conference. So we have data, how many people, who are them. We can reach out to them and we can. So that's when we launched this first product, that time we were not aware of our users. We just did it with our understanding. We got some data, we reached out to them again. That's how we planned the second conference. In the first conference, the feedback was it has to be more of workshop. In the second conference, we did workshops only, no talks. So that's how we are also improving, and that's how we will plan for the third one. Now the third one will be more planned manner in terms of defining the users' personas, features, and getting into what exactly the topics that we wanted to deliver in the conference. So we will do this exercise this time. I think that's what we discussed. Like, let's run this as a product, and let's see how we can make this product a good product for Chandigarh. Probably quickly, let's talk. Let's have a session on health as well. If a person is not fit, do you think he can create a kick-ass product? Do you think he can innovate? Why not we have a session on just an idea, right? I'm not saying it will work or not, but just a thought. If everybody spends some time on their physical activity, because in IT we are just sitting in front of systems. If we spend half an hour on doing some activity and we have some trainers or coach on health and fitness, and if he or she can inspire everyone to be fit so that you can think, you can innovate, do you think it's a bad option? So we can think of that kind of a content also in this thing. So the area is, this is just an idea.
A developer persona says no.
Then developer persona says no. But if you add this in the personas and reach out to a developer, give a developer here, do you think it is required? Do you think if we have a health session, do you think you will enjoy it? Definitely. So you are wrong here.
One vote for no, one for yes.
One for no, one for yes. So in the fitness, there is some talk like what you should eat. It's not like you're running and all that stuff. What you should eat, your daily habits, so that you can improve upon that. Because I think. So, बचपन से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं ना,
Patanjali can be one of those.
Then you can satisfy companies also. So green tea को पकड़ने किसी को पकड़ने green tea company को like we'll serve green tea in the conference, like something like that. So this is not a failure. That's how you innovate in a product. If you pitch in something like that, it's a conference. Nobody's talking about health, right? Why should we talk about health? But that's again one of the new features that you are not sure if it will work or not. But let's try it. There's nothing harm in it. The entire conference is a product conference. But why not one session? Let's see. We'll get the feedback.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, that's fine. That's how we improve.
It's not just about the exercise, it's about even though the posters, if we are sitting in the right posture in the office, that helps a lot with our exercise.
वहाँ पे सबका बॉडी फैट चेक कर लेंगे तो सबको पता होना चाहिए ना what is the body fat ratio.
You are getting good data.
We can have a sponsor from the health checkup company that is.
I think ergonomics is one of the buzzwords.
Yeah. So I think yes. So ऐसी product में you add some features, but it got failing. क्या पता नहीं, let's see whether it will work or not.
So this is one good way. Let's say when you are launching a new product, maybe introducing a feature, छोटा feature, जल्दी से introduce कर दो and take feedback.
And that's the video. डालेंगे एक हेल्थ का रिवॉर्ड को बढ़ा के सुनाएगा.
नहीं मैं तो इसलिए नहीं चाहता. नहीं बड़ा गिल्टी फील होता है.
वही तो फील रहा है. That is the intent of this.
अरे WhatsApp बड़ा वो एक्टिव है गिल्टी फील कराने के लिए. कितना गिल्टी फील कराओगे?
हेल्थ चेक करा के ना तब और गिल्टी फील करेंगे. उसके बाद पता है नहीं.
ये देखो सारे फिट लोग ना लगे हुए हैं बस. एक सुरभि एक दीपांशु और
I have a motivation.
बाकी कोई नहीं बोल रहा.
I
have a motivation. Last time my motivation was Antarctica. This time Marco. Last time the motivation was Antarctica. To have a specified body fat. It has to be around 18 to 20%. So this personal motivation, right?
Yes.
And I just think, like, again thinking loud. हम बचपन से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं sound mind resides in the sound body. सबने पढ़ा है. If we agree हमने पढ़ा है, हम भी बोलते हैं बच्चों को भी सिखाते हैं, तो हम अपने साथ injustice क्यों कर रहे हैं?
And how I think is you are the center of attraction to the whole world, you know, around you. So
And I see, I'm telling you, if you are your personality, positive energy, people feel that energy around you. Like if you are positive if you emit positive energy, then your business sponsors, you build up good relationship. मेरे सारे business sponsor मेरे Facebook में added हैं, like कर रहे होते हैं मेरी post को. And कल को कोई feature निकालना होता तो यार चलो भाईचारे में बात हो जाती है कि चलो कर लेते हैं इसका पांच मिनट बोले. So that relationship you have to build up.
इसके बारे में बात
when you were talking about Chandigarh, there's a very wonderful conference on empathy yesterday in our company. And I think which is very, very important. And as like you said, nobody would want to be a QA all their life. They want to grow up in their career. So I think it's very important where IQ starts taking a little low side as compared to your EQ.
And that's where you bang on.
Right.
EQ is emotional question. We wanted to have a session on emotional question.
I would love to have it because I think it's something which as a product.
We wanted to bring emotional question this year. Next year we will have something.
Because EQ is one of the most important factors which will help you rise.
See, understand. See, that's what I'm saying. Once you see the industry, na, एक gut feeling होती है कि ये वाला content चलेगा.
True.
EQ, Surbi we discussed it. EQ 2.0 next year आएगा.
I'm always
copyright करा लो.
In IT they are more depressed.
distracted.
They need this session.
इसको copyright करा लो.
Emotional question का session next week पक्का होगा. Because see, users personas, behavior, understanding the human behavior.
Everything is related to this behavior itself.
And
we are talking about the impact itself, you know, that's a behavior that you want.
That's a behavior.
You're changing a behavior itself.
You know, when I joined here, probably one of the USPs on the website would be to get the cohesive work culture. You like to work for a company where you feel comfortable, where you can voice your opinion, where you can, really be yourself. And that's where EQ comes into the picture. And that's where, it's very important for everyone, right from the developer level to the vice president level, to understand the whole gamut of how it operates. It's a wonderful thing to have about it.
All right,
I'll conclude करना चाहेंगे आप?
Conclude.
You want more discussion?
No, I would love to thank you, Deepanshu, and for taking time out. Your busy schedule and driving down from Gurgaon and addressing this important topic, which is about how do we prioritize features, how do we think about it. I have had several takeaways from it. One of them is, it's easier to sell an idea based on data. So if you, when you are prioritizing a story, if you mention this is the reason when I decided to prioritize your time, so then everyone takes you, everyone will respect your decision. They will understand the reasoning behind it. So that's a very nice takeaway. And shall we decide it? We can decide the next meetup's topic. We can keep it the same. trying out different techniques for new product.
Yes, for new product, because that's a gap.
Feature prioritization. And maybe you can also come.
Yeah,
You can try all
we
those,
I would love to come.
last conference.
As we said recently, that we get all the ideas on that common tool, and then we can prioritize further.
Yeah.
So we can practically try
I
out.
think collaboration is good.
Yes, collaboration is good. And I think that's realistic, na? The distributed team, we work with the distributed team, so let's do it.
That will be,
Who gave this talk on the story prioritization in the last conference? Was it Jisha? Jisha and Eva gave this.
And this time, I already set an expectation, to be very honest. User research is going to happen in next conference for sure, and that too with a case study, with a tool, and that will be taken by Jisha only.
Excellent. So, we did learn some techniques over there. We were introduced to Moscow method, Kano method, by her. So maybe I've always wanted to try it out. And maybe this is one platform where we can. So I would love to do it. So if you all agree, so let's decide on that.
So we have a product.
Last time when you had a problem, you made a teacher, but it never went live. So if you would have followed Moscow only,
yes.
you would have actually asked them, "Okay, you must have tha or kiraya." They would actually give it.
We asked.
So फिर वो must have होगा नहीं.
That's right. That's what.
Yes.
That's where companies will not do it that way.
Yeah. So let's call this event closed then. Yeah, thank you everyone.
Yep. Many thank you everyone for listening. I know listening is toughest thing to do.
Thank you, Deepanshu. Pleasure meeting.